So a lot of y'all have seen the last video I did on one of their controllers, which was I can't remember the name of it, but I couldn't recommend it because of the software. I just didn't trust it. It couldn't download it. Everything I tried to download it on was screaming virus at me. Now the customers, support that, same with the controller and everything. They swore by it and everything, but the same aspect, I don't know you. Is that the same thing with this controller? And do I recommend this controller? Because I couldn't recommend the last controller. Let's get into all the negatives and some of the pros in this controller. All right, guys, so let's talk about the unboxing right here for a second. We get a lot of stuff in this unboxing, and that's pretty cool in certain aspects, but what's not cool is I don't get any kind of a carrying case. So I literally want to just have to store everything in the box like this big behind box, to where if I want to get anything out of it, I'm gonna have to pull the box out, I'm gonna have to keep it close by, or I'm gonna have to find a drawer and throw it all in, and I'm gonna lose pieces because you get 4 extra joysticks, 3 extra D-pads, you get 1, 2, 3 extra modules, which if you haven't figured that out by now, the modules for the XYBA, the face buttons can't pop out and be interchanged. It's just, in my personal opinion, a little much to not have any kind of carrying case, any kind of storing case, or anything like that. They just throw it in the box, especially at the price point of $140. I feel like this should have definitely come with a case. Anything over that $100 price point should have some kind of case, especially if you have this many gadgets with it. Other things you get in the box, of course, will going to be the nice long cable. You get a nice long cable with it. Now this is a nylon cable. It doesn't have any kind of caps or anything. I don't think it came with. I could be wrong there. You'll see it on screen if it does come with it, but it's a decent cable. You're gonna need it. So the connectivity with this controller is going to be Nintendo Switch, PC, Android, iPhone, pretty much anything that has a Bluetooth capability and stuff like that. You're going to be able to control this controller with. Also, it does work on Xbox with I tested it with the Magic X adapter. I couldn't get it to work with the dongle itself with the controller, but I did get it to work wired with the controller. So if you want to run a wire to the controller and use this on Xbox, you are able to. And I didn't really notice any kind of delays or lags or anything like that using this with the Xbox itself. So take that for what it's worth. This is the Magic X adapter, by the way. I'll link this as well as this controller in the description below. So if you want to pick it up or anything like that, help the channel out. Appreciate you. So when it comes to this right here, just throw it away. I'm just going to be real. Throw it in the trash, because you're not going to be able to use it. You're not going to be able to hook it up and confidently be able to play. I've ran this in so many different USB devices, so many different consoles, and so many different computers. And every single time I have a connectivity issue. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what hack I try. That's where the dongle is. All right, we're going to see if this thing disconnects on me. So I'm going to bring it over here. I'm gonna put it behind this box right here, and look, it disconnected. I'm literally 2 feet away and it's disconnecting behind a box. That's horrible. That's absolutely garbage. I have literally hooked up USB extenders because the Fly Diggity 3 had this issue where if you got too far away or got something in between it, it would lose connection and reconnect. This is what this is doing, but with Fly Diggity 3 controller, you were able to hook a USB extender up to it and it kind of hacked it or whatever. It kind of made the signal stronger for some reason. I don't know how all that works, but it worked. With this, it doesn't work. I've literally throwing B-roll up and stuff, showing you how far I had it away from the Nintendo Switch and it was disconnecting. How far I had it away from my PC and it was disconnecting. It doesn't work. It's unreliable and I cannot recommend it by any stretch of the imagination. I've reached out to customer service, my rep anyways, whoever that person is. You're probably watching this and sending me an email right now, and literally was like, oh, well, that's weird. I haven't had no issues with it, etc., etc., etc. That's great. I'm having an issue with it. They emailed me back to follow up and I was just like, yeah, I'm still having an issue. I've already tested it. I don't need to test it again and do anything else. It doesn't work. It works, but I was literally losing connectivity in games and stuff trying to play this thing. I couldn't even play the Switch. I just gave up on the Switch. I didn't even test this controller out on the Switch because of that. Now I'm going to try to test it out because I'm going to hook it up Bluetooth and see how that works out and stuff. But from a high-speed dongle aspect, just throw it out. It's not worth it. If you're going to play with this competitively, you have to run it wired. Let's talk about speeds. Well, before we talk about speeds, let's talk about the Bluetooth connection and stuff like that. I'm just going to go to a future self me and show you gameplay if it's working or not, and either trash it or say it's okay. Bluetooth is never going to be fast as wired or even a dongle, but it should be better than that dongle because you just heard me rant. So I'm like so far over this controller, you guys don't even know. All right, so I can't get it to work Bluetooth on the Nintendo Switch. Literally, the instruction manual says, I'm gonna hold it up, turn off this stupid tracking for a second. Literally gonna hold up, just pause it and you can read it for yourself, what it tells me to do. It says when I'm in the right setting, it will go from those colors right there, okay? This isn't the right screen, I know that. I came to this screen to try it. But if I go to the other screen and try it there too, I should be getting connection. I'm not getting no connection. It's flashing. You know, that's my Pro controller that's working right now, right? That's working, but I can't get this to connect. I've never had this issue before in my entire life. I can connect a wire to it. It will bring up the controller, but when I disconnect the wire, because sometimes you have to do that to get it to connect wirelessly, it disconnects. It doesn't work. I am so over this controller. And just to show you guys and gals, that's what the Switch is. Literally right here. Literally, I could touch it. That's how close it is. So it's not because it's too far away. It's literally right freaking there. So what the flip? I'm just gonna release the video like this. All right. Cool. Okay, so let's talk about the modules for a second here. Now, just FYI, when you go to switch out the modules and stuff in the controller, you are going to take the faceplate off, which you are going to take the D-pad off. And then the module, you should just be able to pretty much grab it from the sides and pull up on it. Okay, so there's two little things in there. You'll push down on it and it'll pretty much pop the module up. You could do one of them, I guess, and then pull the module out. I don't know. So I guess it's just pretty much made where you put your fingers in the holes right there and just kind of push down and up at the same time. And it'll kind of like work the module out and it'll come out and you're good to go. And then you'll be able to put a new one in. Let's talk about the modules you get with this controller for a second, since you do have 4 different modules you can pick from. You do have a typical membrane one. So it does have a little bit of a clicky feel. It doesn't really have that mushy filling membrane that you're probably typically used to. And I honestly feel like if someone wants a membrane, that's probably what they're looking for. And they're not looking for that little bit of a clickiness to it. It just doesn't feel that great, in my personal opinion, for membrane D-pad, or not a membrane D-pad, but a membrane face buttons. And then you have 2 different style tactiles. One's just very, very light press and you actuate the buttons, and the other one is pretty much the same. It feels like it takes a little bit more pressure to actuate the buttons. And then you do get one that comes in the box right here. I did anyway. I assume you do too. It comes with the Nintendo Switch layout instead of the Xbox layout, and they are tactile as well. For me, I'm going to use the tactile one. That's a little bit easier to press. We'll slide that one in, and let's move on to the sticks. To slide it in, you literally just need to make sure it's set up right, and just push down and you'll hear a click and you're good to go. Let's move on. All right, so let's talk about sticks on the controller for a second. You do get 6 different, let me rephrase that. You do get 6 sticks. You don't get different sticks, but you get 6 of them. You get 3 different style sticks and you get 1 extra of each. You got a real low, a mid, and what you would consider a high rise. They just kind of fit in place and you'd be good to go. I'm gonna use a high rise and then the low for the left stick and the high rise for the right stick, because, well, I'm aiming and stuff. So that's what we'll do there. So we'll just throw those on and they just clip on. They're really easy to put on. You can see how they go in and you just put them on, you're good to go. All right, let's talk about D-pads for a second here. You get 4 D-pads, right? So you get 2 plastic D-pads and you get 2 metal D-pads. You get a dome and the cross for each one of them. And you know, I've grown to like the dome better, so I'm going to use the dome. Listen, I need this answered in the comments. Who will pick plastic over the metal one? I think for me personally, I'm always going to pick metal. It feels better. It just, I don't know. It feels better to me. So I'm always going to pick it, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody in the comments will let me know that they prefer plastic over the metal. I want to know why. So please drop that comment below. So the D-pad itself is on an 8-way rocker. They feel good. I like the way they feel and stuff when I'm playing with it and stuff. I don't feel like I'll get accidental actuations on it, which is nice to see. Is the D-pad's built pretty good in that aspect itself, and I do again like the metal over the plastic. So there it is. I think it's a pretty good D-pad. Let's move on. Okay, so you get a lot of stuff with this controller. You could have taken several of these things away and given us a case, given us some better features for the price point of $140. 9 out of 10 people aren't going to use 4 different style modules. 9 out of 10 people aren't going to use, you know, 2 different style D-pads, as in plastic and metal. 9 out of 10 people don't need 6 different sticks, or, you know, mid, high, and low, and 2 of each. Maybe that one I can let go because some people would probably prefer to have the same size sticks and stuff. But this other stuff, I feel like the modules themselves, they have to be at least a little bit pricey for what they are, and you're putting all that into the controller and stuff. I feel like the money could have been spent elsewhere, like a freaking case, for example, instead of all these modules. Like, I got so many parts just sitting around now. I gotta like relocate them and put them back in the box to store them so I don't lose them, and that's just, ugh, in my opinion. So that's a negative. Just gonna throw it out there. Let's talk about triggers and bumpers for a second here. So the triggers and the bumpers, they don't have really no gripple or stipple or whatever you want to call it on them. The top, the right, and left buttons, they have like a little bit of something on there. It's not really rough or anything like that. It's okay. And then there is something on the triggers. I don't really want to call it stipple because it doesn't look like or feel like stipple to me, but there's just some kind of thing there. What I don't like about these controllers is, I'm gonna start with the trigger stops. It does have trigger stops, but I don't feel like you're getting a lot out of it. I feel like it's only cutting out about 70% maybe out of it. And I just don't, based on what other controllers I've reviewed in the past now, especially like the Fly Diggies with the Veda Pro 3 and the Veda Pro 4, that gives you those mouse clickies, at this being at a price point of $140, definitely should have had these on here in my personal opinion. And I don't understand why not. Like, take away some of this extra crap and put some better stuff in the controller so that we can recommend it. Now, I have like a little bit of an opposite feel on the bumpers themselves. The bumpers themselves, they got a nice click to them. They're not tactile or anything like that, but they feel good when I'm pressing on them, and I just know when I'm pressing them, and they actuate all the way over. I don't have to worry about if they're not going to actuate or anything like that. So they do feel really, really good in my personal opinion. Some of the, I don't want to say the best, but they're really good. So I shout out to them for that. Let's talk about the extra buttons here for a second. We're going to start with the top buttons. So you can see you do have 2 top buttons here, an M6 and M5, and which are nice to see. If they could have brought them over just a little bit more, I would have liked that, to, you know, which I can still actuate them there. So it's not bad in my opinion. I think they've pretty much, they feel pretty good for the most part. They got a nice tick click to them and stuff. The back buttons themselves, they have a nice tactile click sound to them as well. That's about as far as I can go with them because I don't like these very much at all. And the reason being is they're just too sensitive to press. I literally can't tell you how many times testing this controller out and accidentally press buttons because I'm trying to press one of the other buttons because I play like this. I don't play like this. I don't play with 2 fingers on each. I play with 1 finger that covers up the both. So when I'm going to, especially pressing the top one, the M1, I hit the M2 so many different times, vice versa. It's just, they're entirely too close together at this sensitivity level. So they should have really thought about that, making them sensitive. I like them sensitive, don't get me wrong, but they probably need to add a little bit more tension to them or just spread them out a little bit further so that we could have a better experience with the back buttons, because I don't like them very much, to be honest with you. And going right about along with that, I don't like the way the trigger stop sits right here. This is like a big bulge sitting out. This is a big bulge sitting out, and like on the Fly Diggity 4, it's not as rough. It's not as long. It's way shorter, and I think that makes a big world of difference because I can definitely feel it when I'm playing on it, and if my fingers are resting on it, it's going to get uncomfortable after a while. If I move my finger around, I'm always bumping that thing. So that's just another knock on the controller. Let's move on to comfort of the controller itself. I'm mixed on it, and it's going to be more than I want to explain, but I'm going to explain it anyways. So you do have the rubber plastics around the bottom right here. They feel pretty good. Only time I'll tell if these are going to wear out like the Elite controllers and stuff like that. They feel pretty good in my opinion. They don't feel uncomfortable or anything, but where it gets uncomfortable at, and it's a little confusing to me, is this lip right here. And the reason why is because there's definitely a lip there, and don't get me wrong, I don't like wrap my hands around it, but I just don't understand why it's such a lip there too, because we can take the controller off up here, and it just seems like it's not a super sharp lip, but it's definitely a lip that I can feel. Somebody's gonna cry about this, because if I'm crying about it, I know someone else is gonna cry about it. So I'm just gonna, that's points knocked off for that. Okay, so we wanna update your firmware. First thing you're gonna do is update your firmware, and you get something new like this. Sorry for the dogs in the background. All right, so we're in here now on the app. Looks like there's a lot actually to do in here. You got PC and Nintendo Switch modes right here. You can kind of see what's going on right here with these. We're gonna come in here and we're just gonna kind of look through it real quick. Your back buttons and everything over here to apply to controller. So after you do something, it looks like you'll need to apply it to the controller. Lighting, you can turn it on breathing, such and such. See if we can't get a good shot of that right there. We're gonna put it on default 1, which make it come to, we can go to breathing. The RGB does look pretty good there, I'm not gonna lie. Advanced settings. You can name your settings right here. Looks like vibration intensity. We're gonna turn ours all the way off. Nice. Okay, so these are right here. You pull the trigger and it vibrates the controller. So if you're into that, that's pretty cool, I guess. You can set your keys up on the back right here. As you can see, we're gonna set up M2 as A, which is there. We wanna put M3 as X. I like that. That's already there. So M1 back. Oh no, M1 should be X, X. M2 should be A. M3 will be Y. M4 will be down on the D-pad. And then we have our top buttons up here. We'll do M5. Is that M6? We're gonna put up, and we're just gonna put M5 as joystick in to see if that works real quick. It does. Good. We don't need nothing from there, to be honest with you. So we're just gonna save and config. So now all the buttons on the back are saved to my controls. Joysticks are right here. As you can see, we have the right joystick. We'll test that later. Rotation on joystick dead zone set at 10%. We're gonna set that to 0. Trigger switch. So it being at 0 is gonna be super sensitive. So we'll have to see if we need to bump it up a little bit. Whatever all this is right here, I don't understand it, to be 100% honest with you. We have functions over here. So this is for your headphone port at the bottom. You do have a headphone port, as you can see. So you do have, it's pretty cool. You can change the EQ and stuff, or you can set it to your own preference maybe. Do you have a custom? You don't have a custom here, or do you? Okay, you do. You can make a custom one, which is nice. We're not gonna do that. Trigger calibrations, we're not gonna do that. Function up and down, you can hit the function for your adjusting your volume on your PC, as you can see at the bottom right there. And function back, which goes back to desktop, but it didn't do anything. All right, you can set your sleep time at 15 minutes. We'll go ahead and go there. Vibrations, we want all the way off because we don't want no vibrations on. You can take your brightness up or down. We're gonna put it up for the video just so that we can see the brightness on screen when I show you the controller off. Right stick, we're gonna leave it all at default. As you can see here, our buttons are all there, and we're gonna apply to controller. Now we're gonna come out here, and since we're already on this other computer, we might as well. All right, here's our dead zones on the controller itself. All right, so you can see we went down to 0, and I'm moving the control. What happened to my screen? That's weird. I don't know. Not sure why the camera went to sleep. We have a 0 dead zone right here, as you can see. If I move the controller a little bit, okay. So we're not completely centered on the dead zone itself, but just keep in mind, I did take this all the way down to 0. So for it to be that close, I mean, that's pretty close. I'm actually happy with that. It doesn't need to be at 10%. I don't care about the left stick personally, just because it's not for aiming. You could bump this up in the app if you want to get a resting value of 0. So let's do that now. Let me figure out how to get through here. advanced settings, joysticks, right stick. We're gonna go up to 2%, save and config. There you go. I mean, right there, it's already, we can maybe even bring this down to 1%, save and config. And I mean, it's so close. I would just, for me, it's at 1%. I think that's fine. I'm actually pretty impressed with that. Let's see what the circularity is now. It should be really, really low being, which they are, for FPS games and shooter games and stuff like that. That's fine. We want them that way. And while we're here, let's go ahead and test our speed of the controller. It should be 1000 hertz. We're going to see what it is with the wired and dongle. All right, here we go. So we should get 1000. Pretty simple. No outliers. Everything was good right there, as you can see. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Well, we are hooked up to the dongle. I felt the vibration. We're going to come in here. Controller not found, it says. All right, we're connected to the dongle itself. We're going to do a quick test on it and see what we get. And we are... Oh, we're not, like, did my test crash? It did, it crashed, and my controller disconnected. We're having issues. It's like this dongle is, either dongle is like very sensitive, or I'm not getting great connections with the dongle at all. We're gonna do a quick another test. Here we go, we got it done. So I'm holding it right here at the, we're gonna do it like this so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. So I have the controller right here. My laptop is literally right here. I can't really, that's where the dongle is. All right, we're gonna see if this thing disconnects on me. So I'm gonna bring it over here. We'll put it behind this box right here. And look, it disconnected. I'm literally 2 feet away and it's disconnecting behind a box. That's horrible. That's absolutely garbage. And I bring it back over here to connect again. So that's this dongle is just not a very good dongle at all. It is disconnecting. I just put it right underneath the desk. It disconnected again. You know it's disconnecting because you can see the light flashing on the dongle itself when it disconnects. It's connected right this second. It's right here up on it. Now watch as I pull it away. Right behind that box again, you see the dongle is flashing and the controller is disconnected. That's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. What does that mean? That means I can't hook this up behind the PC at all. I'm not gonna be able to hook this up behind the PC because what's gonna happen is I'm gonna lose connection. Now, okay, 2 things first. First, don't judge me for my background because I got curtains just kind of hanging up there trying to block some of the sun out, even though it's literally 6:42 in the morning. I didn't feel like taking them down. I'm literally just jumping on here to show you some of these tests like I said I would. Future me here. We're going to start with the Bluetooth. Finally got this controller to connect X input to the PC Bluetooth, and I'm going to do the first test right now. As you can see here, absolutely. All right, so this is absolutely garbage. So you got some that are at 1 millisecond all the way up to, did I see 20, 13, 26, 30, 11, I mean, 14, 1, 8, 14, 6. I mean, this is all over the place. This is absolutely horrible, which, I mean, we knew Bluetooth would be, but I mean, this is beyond horrible. I mean, this is really, really bad. Holy moly. And I was consistent the entire time. I can't, oh my goodness, look at that. Look at that outlier right there. 60,750. That's an outlier for sure. But the rest of these is what's consistent all the way down. So you kind of see what it is. That's garbage. 14 is generous. Jitter is pretty high. I mean, this is just unusable in my opinion. The last thing I'll say about this is it doesn't overclock. I try to overclock, it doesn't overclock. So there you got it. You got the worst, which is Bluetooth. You got the semi-worst, sometimes even worser than Bluetooth because it disconnects randomly, which is the dongle. And then you have the best, which is wired. So take it for what it's worth. All right, guys. So I covered a lot in the video, and I'll be honest with you, there were probably more things I could even cover, but I just decided to stop. I've recorded this days in and days out trying to get different footage and stuff because I've had so many different connectivity issues with the controller itself that I'd be 100% honest with you, I'm just completely over it. So with that being said, can I recommend the controller? Well, if you've watched a majority of this video, any of this video, or 15 seconds of this video, you probably guess absolutely not. I think for the price point of $140 with all the issues I was having with connectivity, doesn't make a lot of sense. I like the D-pad. I like the idea of the different modules. I think you're getting too many. I think you just a membrane and tactile and leave it alone. Not even switch. No case for all the parts you get. You're getting plastic and metal D-pads. There's so many things they could have done differently with this controller that would have made it better. The back buttons are just too touchy. You could spread them apart, make them just a little bit more tension on them, so I'm not accidentally actuating buttons when I'm playing the game. And then the trigger stops by far are not good in my personal opinion at $140, especially when majority of controllers are starting to come out now that are cheaper by like $60, $70, have tactile mouse clicky triggers in them. And they do the same exact thing as the controller, and they have tensioners on them. So like, you know, I could do a comparison video between these two controllers, but I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, I'm not going to do one, just because at the end of the day, I would recommend the Vader Pro 4 any day of the week over this controller based on just the price point, the tensioners, and the D-pad, or excuse me, not the D-pad. The D-pad's good on this controller in my opinion too, but also the trigger stops. I'm always gonna be honest on my reviews, regardless of if they're paid or free or whatever. Yeah, let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Do you have this controller, or do you have any of the same issues that I have with this controller? And do you think it's worth the price point that they have it at? And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Peace and love.